All right, let's dive into a piece of Portuguese grammar that might seem a little tricky at first, but I promise it all comes down to one really simple, really powerful idea. It's what I like to call the unchanging outcome, and once you get it, you'll sound so much more natural saying things like no matter what.
So think about it. How do you say that in Portuguese? You want to say something like, no matter who shows up, they'll be welcome. Or, whatever you do, I'll support you. Nailing that no matter what feeling? Well, that's exactly what we're going to crack today.
And here's the secret. It's all about this idea of the unchanging outcome. This is all about setting up a situation where you introduce these variables, who, what, where, but the main result, the main action doesn't change one bit. That outcome is totally locked in, it's inevitable. And seriously, this one concept is the absolute key. Once you really get this, a whole bunch of expressions that seem complicated are suddenly going to click into place. And you know what? The source material we're using backs this up perfectly. It basically says that the details in that first part of the sentence, the whatever or whoever part, they don't really matter for the main action. They're just there to show how absolutely certain that main action is.
Okay, so let's put this into practice. The first, and probably most common way you're going to see this, is with all those ever expressions. Whoever, wherever, whatever. These phrases are basically designed to cover any and all possibilities. So, here are the big ones. Take a look. See how they all use that que or que seja structure? That right there, that's your signal. That's the little flag telling you that an unchanging outcome is coming right up. It's how you make a big blanket statement that covers everything. And you can see these right here, pulled straight from our grammar guide. So, let's see how they actually work in a real sentence. Okay, first example. Quem quer que venha será bem recebido. Just take a second to let that sink in. What's the main point here? And more importantly, who exactly is coming? See? It doesn't matter. And that's the whole point. The outcome, that they will be warmly welcomed, is completely fixed. The whoever part is just there to emphasize how certain that welcome is. It applies to everyone.
Let's try another one. Para onde quer que vá, leve sempre a máquina fotográfica. So what's the variable here, and what's the one thing that never, ever changes?
Exactly. It's totally irrelevant where he's going. The one thing we know for sure is that he's taking the camera. The destination has zero effect on the outcome. You're starting to see the pattern, right?
Okay, one more from this group just to seal the deal. Qualquer que seja a pergunta, ele tem sempre resposta. Before I show you the translation, try to spot that unchanging outcome. What's the one thing that's guaranteed?
He always has an answer. That is the fixed outcome. The specific question being asked, it's just a detail. It really is that simple, isn't it?
Fantastic. Now let's look at a slightly different structure that uses the exact same logic. This is the one you use when you're giving two clear choices, like an A or a B. But, you guessed it, neither one is going to change the final result. It's that classic whether or setup. And the structure for this is just beautifully simple. Quer, quer. As soon as you see that repetition, it's an instant signal. It's telling you, we're about to hear two different possibilities, but the result is going to be the same no matter which one happens. Let's see how it looks in a full sentence. Quer esteja a trabalhar, quer esteja de férias, levanta-se cedo. So what are the two options here, and what's the outcome that just never changes?
Right. Is he working? Is he on vacation? It doesn't matter, because the unchanging outcome is that he gets up early. The result is totally constant.
Now here's a great one you might hear when you're talking about sports. Quer percam, quer ganhem o jogo, já estão apurados para a fase seguinte. Can you spot the two choices in that inevitable result? The outcome of this specific game, win or lose, is actually irrelevant. Why? Because the main fact, the thing that won't change, is that they have already qualified. Their spot in the next round is secure, totally unaffected by this one match.
Okay, you've seen the two main patterns. Now it's time for a quick fire practice round to really lock this in. I'm going to show you a sentence in Portuguese, you try to translate it in your head, and then I'll give you the answer. Ready? Let's do this.
First one up. O que quer que diga, já ninguém acredita em ti. So, what's the inevitable outcome? Got it? The translation is, whatever you say, nobody believes you anymore.
All right, next one, with our whether or structure. Vamos ao jogo, quer chova, quer faça sol. So, what's the one thing that's definitely happening, no matter what? We're going to the game, whether it rains or shines. Excellent. So,
After going through all those examples, what's the single most important thing to remember from all this? Let's just boil it all down to one simple idea.
This is it. This is the whole thing. With every single one of these expressions, the main action is inevitable. That whoever, wherever, or whether clause, that's just background noise to prove how certain the outcome really is.
And that brings us to our final question, using the very grammar we just learned. Now, whatever you do, will you use this lesson? I really hope the answer is yes. Thanks for tuning in.